Hello everybody and welcome back to another round of Modern Melee. In the booth as usual, Marco and Ginko.
Hi!
Very short, very concise. Today, what do we have today?
We have Jund versus Hammer. A match for
Centuries!
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
An interesting matchup. It's like Hammer plays a threat, Jund removes the threat.
Yeah, so you are more expert than me in this matchup. I would say this is an extremely coin flippy matchup. Would you agree?
It's hard. It's definitely a grind for Hammer that wants to keep at least one threat on the board, and with that threat, usually Jund is, especially after sideboarding, very adept at removing all those threats, and with the addition of Boseiju that endures, and combine it with Wrenn and Six, it can be very painful.
That's a hard lock, if I ever saw one.
Yeah. It can be circumvented by some tips and tricks. Blacksmith skill, namely, can be a very useful card in this matchup to protect your threat, to protect your enchantment, artifact. You name it, you have a lot of those in this deck. And Jund doing Jund things, just grinding you till you die.
Yeah. So turn 1, Ragavan from the Jund matchup. Turn 2, that is a good start.
Yeah,
that's a good start, especially with the Springleaf Drum, tapping for Shadow Spear, drawing a card, which is always good in basically a mono deck. So I do believe all of those other creatures will stay back to block. Do you trade your Ragavan for M-Knight?
Of course, always. I sometimes even trade my Esper Sentinel for Ragavan. It's depending whether if I'm on the draw or on the play and my other place in hand.
Yeah. So, excellent. Then this favors then the Hammertime match right now, especially with Esper Sentinel being equipped. All of those instances sorceries will be costing 2 more to cast if your opponent doesn't want you to draw cards. But this also can be prevented by playing some creature threat. But all of this gives the Hammertime player a little bit more extra time. Just this 1 turn or half a turn to develop, to get their engine online and to find the Colossal Hammer.
The only question is, does the opponent have Boseiju in hand, and can he, pair it with Wrenn and Six? That's the only question I always ask myself. Game 1 against Jund, and sometimes, if I have 16 damage on the board and my opponent is on 17 life but has Wrenn that is on 2 counters, I will gladly kill that Wrenn. Always. If it's not lethal, I'm not attacking face.
Interesting. Getting lethal in the Hammertime deck, not so difficult to achieve. A little bit more difficult to assemble your quote-unquote combo, but definitely one of the easier decks to pilot in terms of how difficult it is on paper, but how it feels like and how it plays out in the game. So we see another Ragavan from the Jund player. Not so a blazing start from them, and the turn 3 goes to the Hammer player. Now 3rd land drop maybe.
Third land drop, the opponent keeping a black mana up, fatal push, possibly.
Also red mana for lightning bolt potential,
Yeah.
but whatever it is, we'll draw a card from the Esper Sentinel.
Well, he decided to tap the green source, so it's not Boseiju.
It's not Boseiju, which is always a good thing if you are on the Hammertime side.
Inkmoth Nexus coming down for the Hammer player. Very scary with that Pure Steel Paladin on the board.
You can just equip everything to the Inkmoth Nexus and send it to the opponent.
Exactly.
Oh, fatal push. Yeah.
Drawing
taking out the Esper Sentinel. I am not sure if I would. If this is my only removal spell, I would definitely not point it towards Esper Sentinel, but rather towards the other creature. How is it named?
The Pure Steel Paladin.
Pure Steel Paladin, yeah.
It's a weird decision, but it's not as easy as one might think. Ragavan removing that hammer from the top, that must be painful. Yeah. Sometimes, killing that Esper Sentinel will definitely open up your game.
Oh yeah, definitely it could, but both of those pieces are card advantage pieces, right? One of them is also a combo enabler. So if I approach the game from this perspective, then I would be more inclined to kill the combo enabler together with the core draw engine. Rather than just the card draw engine.
True, but that's only a situation where they have only one removal in hand, and I do imagine that as a champ player they have more. But also, for anyone out there wondering whether you should kill Esper Sentinel or Pure Steel Paladin, I will always tell you, never kill Pure Steel Paladin, because how is Hammertime player gonna play the game without Pure Steel Paladin?
That's a fair question, and Urza Saga is one of those answers.
Yeah, exactly. That is a great card to play. It's a land that's not a land, but a card that...
Yeah, it's card advantage both in terms of bodies on the board, but also a tutor for the Hammer.
So Hammer has
Speaking of the tutor...
Indeed. Hammer has been... This is not lethal, but this must be a block from the Tarmogoyf if the Hammer player decides to activate the Inkmoth
Nexus. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So the line here can be play the Hammer and use the Springleaf Drum to tap down the creature to equip it to... or play the Hammer with the mana and then use the Springleaf Drum to animate the Inkmoth Nexus and equip the Hammer with the Pure Steel Paladin.
The Jund player has one mana up.
We will see if the removal spell is
ready. Well, it should be.
Yeah, if it is, it should have been pointed. If it's a burn spell, it should have been pointed in response. If it's not, then, well, this is a trample and lifelink and a whole lot of damage.
So that's 12 infect damage. I'm not sure. So the Tarmogoyf looks to be
instant creature, sorcery, artifact, definitely.
4, 5. Okay, it has enough in toughness to block all the infect damage.
Well, the most important one, which is the 10th one.
Indeed. Yeah.
But definitely a huge blow towards the Jund player who didn't have the mana available. And now...
Okay, so the Hammer player just made a punt, but it goes unnoticed. That Inkmoth Nexus should have died.
But it doesn't matter. It should have died, just to clarify, it should have died because it had several damage marked on it from the Tarmogoyf hit.
Exactly.
And when you move the hammer, the damage does not magically move with the hammer. It stays on the creature, and the creature has less toughness than damage and should have been dead to state-based actions. But we saw it did not matter because the Jund player didn't have anything of relevance in their hand, and they scooped the game 1. So this is what I was referring to about a swingy game. So definitely something that can favor either side if the cards align correctly. In this case, we have seen the hammer player just having a threat after threat, and several of them, one of them went through, and the Jund player found themselves in the abyss, so they had either to jump each time with their creature, even if the Inquant Nexus had died, which it should, but they should have only several turns to answer the threats, and they felt like they didn't have the answer. And this is also what I referred to beforehand. Would this game be any different if they had killed the Pure Steel Paladin instead of the...
Definitely it would have continued. The game would have continued. There was no Cigar de Zade, apparently, on the hammer side.
So no free way of equipping the giant hammer.
Though that being said, they had Stoneforge Mystic, and of course hammers these days, they don't only play hammers.
Of course,
they play Nettlecyst, they play Caldera Complete, they play Reality Chip, and those are all the cards that would pressure the opponent even more, and perhaps the game would continue. And it's hard to say. Maybe even Jund would definitely win.
Yeah, but definitely something to take into account when playing with or against Hammer Time. Your threats are spaced out. So if you're playing the Hammer Time deck, your threats are spaced out so that every one of them is needs to be answered. Exactly. Pure Steel Paladin needs to be answered because it is a combo piece and card advantage. Your Miser Ornithopter needs to be answered because together with Cigar de Zade it can spell doom for your opponents. Your Stoneforge Mystics not only tutor your Colossus Hammer, but also Caldera Complete, as you said. Also Nettlecyst, which can be just a giant beater and mostly unkillable in matchups that don't involve Fatal Push or some other ways of taking it out.
It always sounds like hammer deck is the scary one, and I imagine it's a scary deck to play against. But
on the other side,
also needs to be noted that Jund is a very, very difficult matchup for Hammer, since they have so much removal. They have Thoughtseize, they have Inquisition of Kozilek, they have Discard, and all these all these things are very, very difficult for Hammer to deal with. One of the cards that definitely helps Hammer is the Reality Chip, because it gives that card advantage from the top of your library where your cards are usually safe. But that's one card, and not all Hammer players play it. So this start with Ragavan is, in my opinion, always better than start with Thoughtseize.
So you want to apply pressure and develop both of your mana?
No. I'm speaking from a Hammer Time player perspective.
Oh, okay.
I would much rather see that Ragavan down than player Thoughtseizing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So just a fetch land on the other side, and Ragavan reigning supreme. taking a card, taking 2 damage, and taking a treasure. All of those things combined in the Miser 2-1. And
Sanctifier and Vec removed from the top of the library.
Probably the best sideboard card in this game.
Yeah.
If you are on the Hammertime side, of course.
You don't like to see that, but I imagine maybe the player has another Sanctifier in hand.
Maybe, yeah. I assume there are several of those in the sideboard together with Brenton Stone Forge Tender?
Brenton Forge Tender, yes. Exactly. Another wild card.
Protection from red. Extremely good.
Okay, 2 mana, Wrenn and Six.
Wrenn and Six, but no land.
No land.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just
second land was there. Interesting to crack the treasure and not just take 2 damage here. Because treasures are great. Perhaps the Jund player decided that he doesn't want to take any unnecessary damage, and which is fine.
It's just fine. I think that's.
But that's not a winning proposition. You should be developing your mana and.
But he doesn't have a fetch. It appears so. Wrenn doesn't give value. So,
yeah, but my reasoning is, there is a second Sanctifier and Vec. So all red and black cards are exiled from the graveyard, and it has protection from black and red, which is like 98% of the Jund deck. My reasoning is, if Jund player doesn't have a fetch land, and he doesn't rip a land from the top of the deck, then he's stuck with 2 mana. And now he could have had 3 mana.
Yeah, you have a point there. You actually have a point there.
So maybe a slight misstep. We will see if it bites. Oh, this is a Boseiju. This should.
I imagine that hand has another Boseiju or Coldens Command.
No, this is Abrupt Decay and the Lightning Bolt being thrown down. Two tokens being made, 2 cards drawn, but this is the thing that I was thinking about. So if they had 3 mana this turn, without the Boseiju, they could have played the Seasoned Pyromancer with the treasure, kept the Boseiju in the hand, and Boseiju is, as you said, the best card to play against a Hammertime, and they could have looped it with Wrenn and Six.
Yeah,
killing all of the artifacts, all of the lands, and just locking the opponent down. And now, Wrenn and Six, as you said, does not provide any value. Ticking up to 7 or 8 or whatever to ultimate is not even that good because all of the instants and sorcerers are exiled from the Sanctifier and Vec. So, something to consider while playing the Jund side of this deck. And also we see with Abrupt Decay and Lightning Bolt being discarded the previous turn, now the Hammertime player just casually strolling with and fetching Caldra Complete.
Yeah. Thinking, it's a indestructible creature, indestructible artifact. Boseiju doesn't do anything to it. Destroy effects doesn't do anything to it. Yeah. I see that you discarded 2 of your
premier removal spells.
And there is a 1 mana up, so it's a Hallowed Fountain and produces white and blue. So maybe a counter, maybe Blacksmith Skill.
Yeah, both of those will protect the Stoneforge Mystic for a turn. Finally, a fetch land from the Jund player. So we know those were the 2 draws that they had, either from the Seasoned Pyromancer or for the draw. One of them being Boseiju as land 3, one of them being the fetch land as land 4. Now they can loop the fetch land, but I would much rather have looped the Boseiju.
Yeah.
Kolaghan's Command being pointed at the
Spell Pierce.
Yeah, Spell Pierce says just no. So this is the thing. This is also a sideboard card, I presume, from the.
It can be a main.
It can be a main.
Card. Yeah.
Finally, some value getting from the Wrenn and Six. I assume it will pick up the card again. The fetch land and mana problems for Jund are non-existent these days.
Okay, he opted for a black land, perhaps a fatal push for that pesky Stoneforge Mystic.
And a fatal push or maybe something like a Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize is very devastating for that Caldra in hand.
Yeah. There is a one-turn reprieve where you can Thoughtseize Caldra from the opponent's hand if there is no something like Ether Vial or anything that lets you play your creatures at instant speed. But just the passing of the turn. Interesting.
Just passing of the turn. Now that Stoneforge Mystic is sure to put a Caldra in play at sorcery or instant speed, it doesn't even matter.
You can even put it in your upkeep just because.
Yeah.
So 2 mana gets Caldra complete onto the battlefield together with a Germ token. It has all the keywords on it, like all of them.
Yeah, what does your creature have? Everything.
Except the Better Skull stats. It is the reverse of the Better Skull.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't have Vigilance, doesn't have Lifelink. That is quite true.
But everything else, yeah, it's there.
It can attack that run and prevent the possible looping of anything. Okay, and attack to Wrenn.
Yeah, this is the case that you said. If it's not lethal and there is a Wrenn and Six on the board, you attack the Wrenn and Six.
Exactly.
If it's an overkill, does not matter. There's trample. Well, okay.
There's trample, and he saves his Wrenn. Okay, I like this.
Yeah. Counter on 1 is the same as counter on 20 counters because there is no graveyard, so no loop shenanigans are available as of now because of Sanctifier in VEC.
Exactly.
So we see it's the heat of the game 2, and we see all of the tiny decisions mattering from both sides. The inability to play the third land from the Jund, the Spell Pierce from the Hammertime matchup, all of them adding up, and this is another Boseiju.
That's a Boseiju.
Yeah, pointed at
Inkmoth Nexus. No, pointed at what?
Well, it can be pointed at 2 things actually this turn because it's only 1 mana and.
Okay.
Okay. What? Oh, Blacksmith Skills. Whatever it is, it does not matter. So it was pointed at
the untapped land.
No, I do believe it was at the Inkmoth Nexus, but it doesn't matter because Blacksmith Skills says hexproof, indestructible, everything else. So Wrenn and Six can actually pick it up again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But is there a green mana?
They still have the fetch land from the last time the Wrenn and Six has had its activation. So it is picked up again. The fetch land, Overgrown Tomb being played, it can be cracked for green mana, but before that, something else. Thoughtseize. So this would have been a good card to have before the Boseiju activation.
Yeah, those are 2 hammers, Pure Steel Paladin, and behind Pure
Another
Steel
Pure Steel Paladin? Maybe?
I think it's a land. No? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so with a Pure Steel Paladin and
it's another Pure Steel Paladin.
It's a Pure Steel Paladin. So 2 pairs, not a very good Thoughtseize. Definitely probably wishes to have had it before the Boseiju activation because it would most definitely have had stripped the Blacksmith Skills and probably destroyed 2 lands or something like that.
Exactly. Okay, so now 3 mana, 2 white, and an Inkmoth Nexus. I assume they can play Paladin.
Springless Drum, even better. So Paladin down, Paladin gets tapped, probably with the Springleaf Drum to produce 1 mana, playing one of the hammers, drawing a card, equipping it probably for free, but before that, this is probably another Boseiju activation, which will target, drumroll, we're making a little bit of fun with this matchup, but this is extremely back and forth. And as we said, we see all of the decisions mattering. So Springleaf Drum, in response to the Pure Steel Paladin, I'm not sure this is a good idea because, just tap the Stoneforge Mystic, produce a mana.
Find a land.
Find a land, yeah. So not only are you restricting the mana, you are giving the opponent extra mana. Because
the opponent
it comes
does seem to forget that they should find a land.
It's optional, so the trigger has been missed, but it's on them, I presume. Yeah.
I guess.
There
is no equip for this hammer, notably because there are no 3 lands.
3 artifacts. There's no Metalcraft. Which could have...
Okay.
Yeah. Now we see... Remember. Yeah, well, this is something that could have had a huge impact on the game because a second hammer could have been played and the attack would have been lethal, I assume. 25 damage, they were at 16.
Exactly. With the Cauldron's Trample, 3 artifacts in play, this was a missed lethal. It is what it is, though.
Yeah. So, again, to emphasize how stressful this matchup is from both sides, because if at any point the Jund player removes either one of Caldra Complete or Sanctifier and Vec, they have a game. And this is a great start, looping Boseiju again with Wrenn and Six. So another Wrenn and Six down, picking up Boseiju, getting to play it, probably removing the hammer this time, but we know there is another hammer coming, which does not matter still because there are still only 2 artifacts in play. But there is a trick you can do with your lands to turn them into artifacts. Because
that is true.
Blinkmoth Nexus is an artifact land. Or becomes an artifact creature on Inkmoth Nexus. I'm butchering those names today.
So it's definitely a difficult decision for the opponent. He might need to wait with the Boseiju. He opts not to wait. So this should be lethal next turn because there is an Inkmoth Nexus in play.
And another land. Oh, yeah, okay.
And 4 lands, that means just play a hammer with 1 land, activate the Inkmoth Nexus with another land, equip for 0 with Pure Steel Paladin, and the last land goes into Inkmoth Nexus to again activate it to give it flying.
Yeah. I do believe they're now discussing about missed trigger again about Boseiju because the Boseiju targeted the hammer. Now
Indeed.
The hammer player gets to tutor another land. It notably doesn't have to be a basic.
No, it doesn't. It can be Hallowed Fountain as well.
Yeah. But nevertheless, they have all the mana, all the colors they need. And this is all before their draw step. So they draw a card and now they can execute their plan as you described. So
it's still a plan that dies to removal.
Yeah, definitely. But there is only 1 card in the Jund player's hand. And if it were anything of note, I do believe we would have seen it by this point. Maybe not. Maybe it is something like a lightning bolt, and this is a pause indicating, am I allowed to equip everything at my Inkmoth Nexus? And this is a clear yes.
Now the Inkmoth Nexus is fine.
Now the Inkmoth Nexus is fine. So for everybody that does not know this trick, you can how would you say? Yeah, reactivate the Inkmoth Nexus, and it gets flying, even though the hammer
is attached to it.
Yes,
exactly. This is a little trick. Every hammer player knows it, but it's good to know even if you are not a hammer player, so you don't miss lethals.
Yeah,
and hammer takes the win this time. A very difficult matchup for both decks, but it can be very oppressive from both sides.
Yeah,
at
so
times.
so we have seen dominance of the Hammer Time over Jund, but I assure everybody that this was much closer than it looked like, because at every point the Jund player could have turned the corner with any one of the planeswalkers, or with looping of Boseiju, just destroying the lands, and just the small missteps of playing the Thoughtseize after the Boseiju activation was enough to turn the corner. Also, the cracking of treasure in the third turn of the game, instead of taking 2 damage, was also something that was a little bit controversial, but could have been avoided otherwise.
It's difficult. You usually don't really want to play Boseiju early. You want to wait with it, and the opponent seemed to have 2 Boseijus in hand, so it's fine playing it as a land. There are so many decisions in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
It's sometimes very hard. The easy line for Jund when he's playing first is Thoughtseize into Kozilek,
into any threat,
into Fatal Push, into Liliana, lock the opponent. Good game. Or
they didn't.
Like that.
They didn't have it this time, but it usually can happen in any way or form as you describe it. Even with Wrenn and Six and Boseiju, even with Grist or something like it, providing infinite blockers and providing a way to kill anything on the battlefield.
Exactly.
So this is all for this match. Thank you all for watching, and I hope we will talk to you soon.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.